Anyone there? Are you there? Was this you? Not anymore. With Nova Echo.
Welcome once again to rBeatz.com, and we're on the show today, We Talk Raw. My name is Terry Hudson. I'm an author, a speaker, and connector. And today's show, we're dealing with entrepreneurship, especially AI in entrepreneurship. So if you're a creative of any kind, a singer, a speaker, author, poet, whatever it is, a musician, you need entrepreneurial skills, and you need to know about this. And also, small business owners, networking is so hard, and we've gone through what it takes to be a great networker. Today, we're going to talk about something that could revolutionize your marketing, and it does it at a lot less cost than what you've been dealing with and trying to make that happen. I've got an expert today. He's a young expert, and this guy's story is one of those things you think that it'll become a movie one day because of all he's done pretty quickly. His name's Joey Seeman. He is a teenage entrepreneur. He is the founder and CEO of Nova Echo, which is an AI company that specializes in making calls, sales and customer service calls for businesses. He's going to tell us more about that. And we're going to talk about his incredible entrepreneurial journey today. And maybe I have to have my voice replaced with AI this morning because my tongue getting twisted. And we're going to also talk about how you can gain a lot of skills to change your business as well. So welcome, Joey.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks for the introduction, and I'm glad to be on the show.
Well, you have just such an incredible story. And I just wanted to ask you to start off, how did your journey start? Just even when did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was very young, probably 5 or 6 years old. And the reason was because I was talking to my mom about what I wanted to be, just like every little kid does. And my mom would always just put into my mind that I should do what I want to do and I should work for myself, because I would continuously tell her when I was in school that I did not like being told what to do, like most kids. But I think I was a little bit more serious about it. And I genuinely hated when people told me what to do without having a good reason to tell me why to do it. And she saw that. And so she always pushed me towards working for myself because she thought that would make me happier. And I guess that was instilled in me since I was very young. And as I grew up, I was always thinking about how I could do that, how I could make money by myself, learn by myself. And I also grew up as a single child. And so I spent a lot of time alone. And I think that's a great thing because I spent a lot of time thinking by myself, about myself, how I can improve myself. And that carried on into I don't know if it's adulthood yet, but into my teenage years.
Well, I don't think that anybody likes being told what to do. That runs rampant in society, and everybody wants to work for themselves, or everybody wants to be in the place where they're the boss, or at least their paycheck doesn't depend on having to jump through a hoop and do what people tell them to do. However, there's also that part of you have to have the follow-up. You have to have the skills. You have to develop those. You have to know that you are so called to do something like that you're willing to go through whatever it takes to make that happen. It's not something that's built in a day, and it takes first steps and coming out of comfort zones and overcoming fear and what I call confusion endurance. I don't even call it. I think I read in a book. I think it was in the How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci book, where you're going through and you're trying to figure out things even past that part that you just feel like giving up, even trying to figure it out. And you have to be that person. You are one of those people. And, when you want to be an entrepreneur, how did you even get involved in AI? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And also just to touch on the first thing you said, yeah, everybody does want to be the boss until they are the boss and then they realize that's
Right.
a much harder job. And you having to tell yourself what to do is actually a lot harder than other people having to tell you what to do. It's a lot harder. So that's why I said I think I take it more seriously, because I would rather work 10 times as hard as long as I'm doing what I know I should be doing, what I'm telling myself to do. That's me personally. Not everybody feels that way, and that's fine. And also, I always had two other qualities that I think I also gained when I was very young. One is that when I start something, I go all the way in, and I just don't quit. It's not in my nature. And I think that's also partly because of what my mom taught me when I was first growing up, when I was very little. Because even if it was a little game or a monkey bar course or whatever it was, I did it for hours until I succeeded with it. And then the second thing is I love solving puzzles. I love when things are challenging. There's no clear path to success. And I love when there's not a step-by-step playbook for how to actually win, and you have to figure out yourself. That's
Right.
thrilling to me, and it's a lot more exciting. So, and then as for getting into AI, I was part of a marketing agency about a year and a half ago, and we started to implement text-based AI chatbots into our marketing agency because we saw a ton of people that real estate agents specifically that wanted to automatically follow up with leads. Because if we're getting them a lot of leads from Facebook, it's annoying, first of all. And second of all, it takes hours and hours every day to follow up with all these leads. Or you get a salesperson and then you pay commissions, which nobody loves to do. And
Right.
so I was like, okay, what can we do here? I thought of text-based chatbots. Then we had an AI that was texting people back and forth. It was good, but at the same time, people don't love text. No one loves texting with an AI.
Right.
It's really
They
not
can they can
natural.
tell right away, it seems.
Exactly. No one's really dialed that in yet. It's very quick responses and it seems like it's not a human. And so then I found out about voice AI, and we can talk more about that specifically. But when I found out about voice AI, I was like, this is the future. This is crazy. And voice is obviously everyone's preferred form of communication. And so I just went all in to that.
Yeah, we will talk about that, the voice AI and the importance, and not just the importance, but how what you do is different as far as that. But going back to your mother real quick, is her parenting style is different from most. We all love our children, and we have a tendency. I know my parents were like this, and earlier on as a parent, I was like this until I learned, different. It was not some, there's no parenting handbook. You either know people that have trained you well to do it, or you found out something along the way. And that is, we get overprotective of our children. We don't want to see them fail. We don't want to see them, lose the trophy, or we don't want to see them lose the wrestling match, or get their hopes up for something and see them crush. So we tend to kind of dial them back in when they're trying to do something and want them to go a normal path. And we might deny that we do that, but we do that. Where your mother seemed to say, is go do this. I believe you can do it, and you're going to fail, but you eventually will catch on to this, and you'll do that through your failure. That's a great parenting style and great support system.
Yeah, 100%. My mom and my grandparents, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as well. And all three of them follow that ideology where they care a lot about safety. But as long as I'm safe, they let me fail as many times as I need in order to succeed. And I'm sure it's hard for them. I know it's hard for me I've even seen like little kids and I want to help them do something, even if it's something small. I can't think of an exact example, but I know that if I don't and they learn it themselves, it's going to pay off a lot in the future. So that's definitely a hard thing to do, but it's definitely in the kids' interest.
Well, what if your mother had said that she wouldn't let you do what you wanted to do?
If she said that very young, I think I would have, I don't know, that would have put me on a different path, definitely. Because if she did not let me have the independence to make my own mistakes and learn from them myself, I would have relied more on authority. And so I would have relied more on my teachers to tell me what I should and shouldn't do. And I probably wouldn't be here right now. If she told me a
Yeah.
little later in life, maybe I was 10, 11, I probably just would have rebelled and still ended up here in some way, shape, or form, because that point is already drilled into me.
Yeah, that's that. What is that expression? You can't light a fire under people. You have to light a fire within people. And I think she did that with you, and of course, you might have eventually did that for yourself as well. So let's talk about Nova Echo. Tell us about your company.
Yeah, so Nova Echo is a B2B SaaS company, and we have an AI that makes sales calls and takes customer service calls over the phone, and it sounds like a human. And so we have a lot of businesses that come to us that tell us that either one, they have a huge list of leads that they want to call, and they don't have enough people to do it. Let's say they have 100,000 leads. That takes like a year at least if you have a team, right? So it's crazy.
Right.
And the second thing is customer service. And the third is, let's say they're doing ads or something and they don't get as many conversions as they want to. And so what we do is we implement voice AI technology into any three of those use cases. And we have an AI do their first level customer service or setting appointments for them.
And, one of the things that I did, part of it was before the music industry when I got involved in that, and part was after, but it was one of the reasons I could make booking calls and I could make, calls to radio stations and things like that, is I started off in telemarketing and eventually became a telemarketing manager, a consultant for several different companies, and whether it's home improvements or carpet cleaning or even hearing aids, which I thought was kind of a weird marketing technique to reach your audience in that one, but it worked really well. And the thing that I learned when you hire these people, you have to get them on the phone because they have such great phone fear that you just have to let them make the mistakes. And it was such a struggle because they stumble on the phone, even after they're experts a lot of times. They spend more time organizing their call list and sharpening their pencil than actually getting on the phone. And so you're paying them to be on the phone and they're trying to do everything else but be on the phone because it's a scary thing to be on that phone. So
Yeah.
how is what you do an answer to that?
So in an average call, yeah, a lot of people do. So in an average call center, the average rep is on the phone for 2.7 hours out of an 8-hour paid workday. That's a statistic.
Yeah.
And so that's crazy. You're paying for 5.3 hours of literally nothing, bathroom breaks, pencil sharpenings, just nothing. So the AI, you only pay when it's actually on the phone talking to a human so that you don't have to pay for the 5.3 hours of nothingness. And yeah, as what you said at the beginning, I would recommend any business owner to pick up the phone and make 100, 200 cold calls because it teaches you a lot. I would not recommend you to try to do that and do 1,000 calls a day for a year. And I would not recommend you to try to build a team of people that don't want to be on the phone because that is more hassle than the opportunity it brings.
Yeah. And if you're honest about that I can say this because I came from that industry. That is one of the jobs that people go to as a starter job or else they're waiting on that next job to open up. That happens a lot. And so you're getting people in there that are not going to stay and they're not into the job. So no matter how well it seems you vet them, you still end up with people for the most part that just don't want to be there and don't want to do that job.
Yeah, it's very off. And there's so much churn in
Yes.
there. So
Big
what
turnover.
we want to do, our goal is to take all the setters, move them to closing roles because we don't want to fire people. We want everyone to stay.
Yeah, that's a
and
great
then we
point.
have the AI do the setting. And so now let's say you had 10 closers and I don't know what the ratios are, but let's say you had 10 closers and 90 setters. Okay. That might be off, but let's just say that. If now you have 100 closers, now you can do 10 times the volume and the AI can make, 100,000 calls an hour. So you can do as much volume as you need. And so you can now set 10 times the appointments. And all you have to do is now focus on your operations to support on the back end and figure out how to 10x that, which isn't easy. But my point is you can scale very quickly by moving your setters to closers and then implementing an AI system on the front.
Yeah, and something else that this would do, because it is AI, it would solve a problem. And it might be even controversial saying it, I don't know. But it is a point to address, is that when people, whether they're paying their phone bill, their electric bill, or calling in to complain about a product that has gone wrong, whatever it is, what is one of the biggest complaints they get from dealing with real customer service people?
It takes so long. And when they finally, when I call a bank or a car dealership or even just a normal store, it often goes some ridiculous music for like an hour. And then when you finally get to somebody, they're like, hi, how can I help you? And they hate their job because they're taking call after call with people mad at them because they just have to wait on hold for an hour, right? And then you talk to that person for 5 minutes and wait for them to transfer you to somebody else because they're not the right person. So
true.
It's a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes, even though they're phone people, you have to ask them 3 or 4 times what they just said. And make sure that, you're being communicated with. And, a lot of the stuff is outsourced so much, across other countries, because everything's, digital now. They outsource it. And then a lot of times some of these people, aren't clear, in the dialect of whatever country they're dealing with, because they're in a
Exactly.
total another country.
Right. We have a lot of people that, or I've seen a lot of people on social media actually specifically that are like, this is terrible because, we want to talk to a human. I cannot believe you're replacing humans. First of all, yes. Okay. If you're in a perfect world where you have perfectly amazing speaking, happy people, and you can get to them instantly, yeah, okay. That's great. It's not realistic. And so the average person that makes a call into a company is going to get somebody from another country who doesn't speak English that well. They're going to have to wait on hold for a long time, and they're not going to get a real answer. They're just going to get somebody reading off a booklet. So they're basically a robot. If
Yeah.
if they don't actually understand it, they're just reading off something, they're like a robot. So why not get an instant response from somebody that sounds happy or something that sounds happy, and then, get your get your question answered.
And would it be customizable per country?
Yeah, we have different accents and different voice. We have over 125 different voices. So it depends
Wow.
where you're calling from. But yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that I've been seeing in seminars that I've gone to, whether it's the music industry or business or even movies, is everything's going to be more almost sectionalized per geographical area, so that like right now, Brad Pitt is a famous movie star, but in the future there will be Brad Pitts in each section of the world, and you'll know them more localized and globalized, like it's been. We've seen this with, for instance, movies that are coming on, the streaming services. There are things that we're seeing from other countries that we wouldn't, it used to be, you would never be able to see that. You'd have to be a collector of independent films or something to see that. So it shows how it's, becoming more sectionalized. And I just see that as a valuable tool. And I think you're, ahead of the curve on a lot of this. So this has done so well for you that you actually had to make a decision on your education. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because that also involves a supportive family. And I want to know how you pulled that off.
Yeah, definitely. And my idea of education, I think, is different. In my eyes, I wasn't really making a decision on my education. I was making a decision on my spending time with friends, and a decision on my getting a piece of paper, which I don't find very useful in today's world. And what I'm talking about is because I dropped out of high school, my 10th grade, my sophomore year, about 9 months ago or 10 months ago at this point. It was, it was a year ago. That's crazy. So yeah, a year ago I dropped out, and I dropped out because I did not find value in mainstream education. I did not feel like I learned much from it, and what I did learn, I didn't feel was very useful. I also felt that when I went home and learned by myself, I was learning 10 times more in a tenth of the time. And I was not being distracted by kids who had no drive to actually learn or do much with their life except for have fun, which is fine. You're a kid. But also, if I want to be successful, I don't want to be around people that are like that, because it's not going to help me. So that's why I left.
Yeah, and it's not pertaining to age; it's pertaining to maturity and mindset. And in school, that's just different for everybody. And I have seen people. In fact, I know quite a few that have left school and been very successful. I don't even call it. A lot of people say they quit school, but you didn't quit school because you weren't quitting. You were leaving because you were making a decision. It's not for everybody. You have to be a self-starter. Just the same thing we talked about entrepreneurship. School is designed a certain way, and we know, still the educational system is broken, but there's so many great teachers, and there are great programs in school. But if you're somebody that is trying to, or not trying to, but you have that drive to really do more, it just seems like to me specialized knowledge is a better way to go. And you have so many options now between, things like Masterclass or LinkedIn or, YouTube, Audible. I've learned more in 2 years just from Audible alone than I learned, in probably high school and college put together. I know that sounds crazy, but it just feels like that. And it's more up to
That's
date.
true. Way more. Yeah. I mean, I dropped out with a 4.0. I was doing good in school. That wasn't the problem. It was that I was literally wasting my time, and I don't like to do that. It was hard to drop out at the same time. There was some FOMO because all my friends at the time were in school. So there was some hard parts to it, and it's also different. I had never been on my own the whole day throughout the day. So it was interesting. But yeah, people sometimes make
school
fun
does
of
bring that structure for people that really need that. You have to have some self-structure. If you don't, you do not need to leave school. You need to see that through.
100%
Yeah.
agree. And again, it's way harder to leave school than it is to stay in school. I want to make that very clear. Unless you want to be a bum. Like if everything's going to get paid for you somehow and you just want to lie around and do nothing, I think that's a horrible life, but that's easy. But if you actually want to accomplish something, it's much easier to accomplish it through school than outside of school, 100%. Now, I could not handle it anymore because it was pissing me off. And people make fun of YouTube, like learning from YouTube and learning from Audible and self-education. People make fun of it all the time. I don't understand it. I mean,
they make fun of self-help in general. It blows my mind. Yeah. But the right people don't make fun of self-help.
Correct. I mean, it's people that are scared to help themselves, or actually more accurate, they are too undisciplined to help themselves. And because they feel like they don't know anything, they attack people who do know things so that they feel better about themselves. So they're trying to pull everybody down to their level instead of trying to grow to other people's level. And, there's always going to be people like that in the world. You just got to ignore it.
There's so many opportunities for the people that will grow. And speaking of self-help, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk even more in depth about your self-help journey. And we're going to talk about basically the company again that you have, but also another thing that you do for entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs. I want to talk more about that service as well. So we'll be right back with Joey. We're just going to take a quick break to hear from our friends and sponsors. So we'll see you in a moment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to this week's segment of What's Trending Now on rBeatz Radio, Media, and Streaming Network. Upcoming local, national, and international concerts. Starting off with Starlight on 22nd Street. It's hosting its annual singer-songwriter meetup on Wednesday, November 13th at 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., along with a variety open mic starting at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can get your tickets at starlighton22nd.com. Noel and Maria present Motown Reimagined, a Middle C Jazz Anniversary Celebration, taking place at the Middle C Jazz Club on Saturday, November 2nd. Doors open at 8 p.m. You can get your tickets at middlecjazz.com. Moonlander is heading out on the Space Cowboy Tour and is performing at Snug Harbor with opener Depreston, along with the album release party on Friday, December 6th. Doors open at 9 p.m. The performance starts at 9:30 p.m. You can get your tickets from the link in the bio. Stay updated on these events with the rBeatz Street Team heading out on these events with the opportunity to win cash prizes and a merch giveaway. This is Annalise Pearl, bringing you all the new details on the latest trending water cooler conversations. Stay on top with the rBeatz app and rBeatz.com, always bringing you the best of the best independent, national, and international artists. Let's get started with this week's DJ World Beats top trending songs. Spinning now on 25/8/366, our global pop stream, DJ World Beats brings you Depreston and Surf with their single, All I Do Is Fall. Serena with her song, Numakuta. Again and Again by Sahiti. And He's the Man by Lovecat. Spinning now on We Global Radio, our hip hop and R&B stream, we have Love the Way I Love You by Citizen Queen. Tiki New Light, P Money and Jolie P, Stay in Your Lane. Humankind and Call Me with their smash hit, Big Dogs. Trending now on rBeatz Radio, our house and EDM stream, we have Dom Dalla and Tove Lo with their single Cave. Coming up on our gospel soul praise stream, The Vessel Radio, we have Shine Down on Me by Crazy Bone. And closing out on USA Hero, our classic rock and country station, we have Lonely Road by MGK and Jelly Roll. That concludes this week's countdown. Be sure to check in with us at each event for your chance to have your next hit announced on our social media sensation show, What's Trending Now. Be sure to check out RBTZ TV on YouTube and rbeatz.com. Just leave your name, phone number at each event for your opportunity to win cash prizes and a merch giveaway.
We're very honored to be here today And to form a partnership with Michael and bringing an American Hockey League team to Charlotte. We really feel that this is a huge step forward to the growth of hockey in North Carolina and in the South.
On the point, it goes, scores! A deflection in front, and the Checkers win the series!
This is my new home.
They score again. Sorla, it's the hat trick.
And Elkovich for the empty net. He scores! The longest game in American Hockey League history, and we are in the midst of it. Rebound chance. Save Patrick. They're going to the Calder Cup Finals. The Charlotte Checkers are Calder Cup champions! They are the kings of the American Hockey League, and there's no one left to beat. Lawrence can win the game. Fake shoots!
It's been 590 days since the last hockey game in Charlotte, and the Checkers will don a new affiliate on their sweaters and a familiar face as their new captain.
Dangling, shot, he scored! Checkers with it, rebound, Carlson buries it, we're back tomorrow night! On the right wing board, Samoskevich finds some ice shot, he scores! And the Checkers have their first lead of the Queen City Outdoor Classic! Number 124 for number 21, the new franchise record!
Welcome back to We Talk Raw here on rBeatz.com. And in the program today, I have Joey Seeman as my guest. He's the CEO and founder of Nova Echo, and we've been talking about the company and about AI. I want to, on that note, ask you, what do you think some of the biggest opportunities out there for young entrepreneurs, and I should not just say young entrepreneurs, but I should say new entrepreneurs when it comes to AI? What do you see?
I think voice AI and what Nova Echo does is a huge opportunity. Now, not everybody is going to be able to start a software company, but there are a lot of voice AI agencies out there, and I think that's a very powerful opportunity. There was a big, I'd say a wave of marketing agencies from maybe 2019 to 2023 or so, and it was really big, and there's still a lot of people doing it. But I think the next form of the marketing agency is the voice AI agency, because it is so powerful, and every single business owner across the world is going to be able and going to need to implement voice AI if they want to stay competitive eventually. And when I say eventually, I mean within the next 12 to 24 months, right? So
yeah, it's pretty soon.
Yeah. And Nova Echo is actually partnering with a couple of people right now that are creating programs to start voice AI agencies. So that's not released yet. We'll be talking more about that in the future, but it's going to be very exciting because we want to give the opportunity to a lot of new business owners to start their own voice AI agency, leveraging technology that we've already built out for them. That way they can just start really fast.
And, you know, we're talking about new entrepreneurs, like we said, young or old. I say that young or older because I've seen so many people change careers, at an older age, and some great companies started, and there seems to be an entrepreneurial rise both in a younger generation and even an older generation, and so many things when it comes to technology that are at their hands, and has so much. It's a lot a lot more user friendly than it used to be, and you're able to get involved, and it's just taking those first steps. But in that, one of the challenges obviously is setting your pricing, and then of course scaling. And you have a good handle on this. So what would your advice be for that?
Are we talking voice AI specifically?
I'll say just as an entrepreneur, but voice AI, so it would be specific with you.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So with pricing, what I do is I started very low. When I first started this, I was selling packages where we build everything out for $500. And that was my first package I sold, actually, $500. And that's very low for the amount of value I was giving. But at the same time, it was the first time I was selling a package like this. And I was still learning.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say start low or start free, ideally. I didn't want to do that. And the technology was so hot, I didn't have to. But in some more saturated industries, you do have to start free. Start getting clients, master what you're trying to do, learn how to do it better. And then once you've fulfilled on them, if it's free or very cheap, they'll be happy to give you a testimonial. Get a 5-star testimonial. Do that a couple times. And then after you have a few case studies, start charging more and then more. I mean, I went from 500, 750, 1250, 2000, 3000. And now we're selling packages from $4,000 to $10,000, depending on what it is. Our largest package right now is our agency for about $36,000 a year. And I would have never been comfortable selling something like that before starting out by selling something that was just $500 one time. So start small, and then as you get more proof, increase the price until it doesn't make sense to anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that holds people back is the scaling part. Not just the pricing part. It's hard enough to figure out the pricing part, but the scaling part, they're trying to figure that out from the very beginning. And it's not what you do. It's like you take the step, like you said, for free or smaller, and you get involved, you perfect what you're doing. Eventually you'll master it. And, you do that by listening to your customers and seeing the need, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and then worry about scaling. That'll come in the process, but it seems like a big cloud that hangs over them when they're first starting. I talk to so many that they're thinking about scaling before they've even opened the doors.
Yeah, I made that mistake when I first started as well. And I've realized now that you should give as much as you possibly can until it becomes impossible for you to give that much anymore. And then you can dial it back. And what I mean by that is, if I can be on the phone with this guy for 2 hours a day for every single day of the year, and I'm going to charge $1,000 a month for that, right? Maybe that's crazy. It sounds crazy to some people because how are you going to scale that? You can only do 6 people, and that's $6,000 a month. That's not enough for me. Okay, but start there. Maybe don't sign a year contract. Maybe sign a month contract. Start. And then once you reach capacity, then tell people, okay, I'm going to do an hour and a half. Sign another client. Then tell people, okay, I'm going to do an hour. Sign another client. At this point, you've mastered it so much more that your time is actually worth more. So what I'm saying is do stuff that you will not be able to scale to the moon. And then once you can't scale it anymore, then switch. But trying to scale to the moon before you've even started is a big mistake.
Great advice. And you get a lot of, your knowledge, just like anybody that will stick to it, by reading a lot of self-help books and watching a lot of videos, doing that work, putting that work in. That's part of not skipping the steps. A key to this in anything, no matter what you're doing as far as a business, a key to it is knowing it does take time, and in that you've got a lot of work to do. You've got a lot of research to do as you're doing it. You don't research everything before you start. You start and you research as you go along. What were some of the best books or videos that worked for you?
Good question. Yeah. So some of the best books, I think foundational books, are Think and Grow Rich. That's a great one.
Yeah. Napoleon Hill.
Yeah. There's a book by I think it's called The Diary of a CEO.
I don't know that one. I have to look that up.
That one's very good. There's a lot about marketing in that one. I would say The Science of Getting Rich is another great one. Unreasonable Hospitality is great if you run a business. Yeah. We're very focused on that right now.
I just found out about that one recently.
Yeah, that one's great. I've read a lot of them recently. I have a whole list, but I would say regardless of what book you're reading, what's most important, I think, besides what book you read, is how you implement it. And a lot of people, I feel like there's like two main groups of people. Like 80% of people will never even read a book. They just won't try, right? They're
Can't
just
lead
like,
if you don't read, right?
yeah, exactly. But they're like, oh, I'm just going to power my way through it. And that's cool, but it doesn't hurt to learn. So read a book. Then like 15% of the people that read books, or the other 15% of the 100%, excuse me, or like 75% of the people that read books are just reading and then closing the book. Oh, check mark. I just read a book. Next book. Oh, check mark. That's also terrible. So what you should do is read books, but instead of reading the whole book at a time, maybe read a chapter or half a chapter. And after you read it, close the book or turn off the audiobook, pause it, and go actually implement it. If it's a business book, implement it in your business. If it's a mindset book, change your mindset. If it's a health book, go out there, get in the gym, whatever it tells you to do, or eat, do it. And after you've done it, then come back and read the next chapter. Because if you do it the other way around and you try to read everything and then implement everything, it's never actually going to help you. So I'd say almost every book that's popular is popular for a reason. It's because it has helped people and it will change your life, but it will only change your life if you implement it. So just
action.
One of the ones I mentioned and actually do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people, having worked in the movie industry, they can have the best script, you can have the best director and you can have the best actors. But when the director says action, if nobody speaks, it doesn't matter who's filming or anything. Without that action, nothing happens. No film gets made. And it's the same thing with taking action in your life. What do they call that? Analysis paralysis, where you're looking at everything and you're reading I know a lot of people that read all the self-help books and then they want to be a life coach or whatever it is in their own life is, they haven't taken action in it to make those things happen. So the action is key. But if you're going to a seminar, this is another trick that I know which is great. But when you're hearing something, it can go in one ear and out the other unless you do certain things to, cause it to stick in your brain. What do you use for that?
Two things. One, I immediately do it, because if you do it very quick and you see results from it, you're not going to forget it. So it's harder with some things with that, because let's say you learn about history, you can't do history. You could maybe write down how you're going to use what you just learned to predict the future and what you'll change based on that. That's real. Let's say if you learn a new workout, you could go do it. You may not immediately see results, but still doing it is going to help you remember. That's the first thing. Second thing is you teach it, which is another form of doing it, I guess. But I find somebody else who I know would be able to use that information, would benefit from it, and I teach them, and then I also have them do it and teach it to somebody else, because now they remember it. I remember it better, because teaching is like the best way to remember things.
And it shows you've internalized it. Like if
exactly,
you
and now
you've internalized it.
Yeah,
exactly. So, in working with younger or new entrepreneurs, you have a thing that you do, which is a mastermind group, and something I'm familiar with. And I want to hear more about yours, how you conduct that and what you have on board.
Yeah, so we haven't run an event in a little while because we're trying to throw bigger events that are more powerful and have real speakers. So we're probably going to be putting an event together next month. And I run it with somebody named Sergio Mendes, who's my partner with the club that we're running, or, club, mastermind, whatever you want to call it. Now, it's small. Right now we have like 90 people or so in it. And the purpose of it, when I created it, was so that we could have a community of, in this case, it was young entrepreneurs who are young. I would say people who want to be entrepreneurs, people who had not started businesses yet or were just getting into business but didn't know exactly what to do. And I wanted to create a community where we could all grow together and all learn together, and we could all face challenges next to each other and then help each other grow. So it was very successful when we started it, and we got a lot of people specifically from my school and Sergio's school. We went to the same one that came into the group, and I built a great community out of it. Quickly, it started. We realized that we had to do it a little less often so we could bring in more people that were successful. Because if we have just a group of people that are trying to do something without a group of people who have done it, it becomes less effective. So I realized that, fairly quickly, and that's why we're doing it less now. and we're trying to space it out and bring in people who are very successful. But all in all, it was great. All my friends that I have from school are in that group. So we're kind of very close knit.
Well, that's great. So what future projects are you extremely excited about right now with what you're doing?
I have a lot of projects going on right now, some of which I have not released to anybody yet, and I'm excited about those. But some projects I'm working on right now, I was introduced to this company called Linksy, and
Yep,
I know
love
you
those guys.
interviewed Joel.
Yeah.
Great company and very, very good for networking. So anybody who is trying to get into networking or throwing events, highly recommend you check out Linksy. Another thing is Triple W. I don't know if we're going to keep that name or rebrand right now, but that's the group that we were talking about. And we're going to be throwing an event next month. As I said, that's the plan. And we're trying to get bigger with this and throw way bigger events with way more successful people in nicer venues. We're trying to make it something powerful. So that's very exciting. And then, of course, first and foremost right now is Nova Echo, which is my most exciting project right now, simply because I am really passionate about AI and I love it.
And this is something you do, and actually our executive producer here has checked it out and loved it, which is your demo. Tell people how you demo and the importance of demoing what you have. That's of course a big key, but you have a way of doing that with your service.
Yeah, so we have a demo on our website, and I have a demo on my phone, so I can just call a number and it will start talking to me. And everywhere I go, I tell them, "Oh, it's an AI that can make calls." And people are like, "Oh, yeah, I heard about that 10 years ago."
They're expecting that robot.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, "No, it's not a robot. It's an AI that's intelligent. Listen to it." And then talk to them. They're like, "Whoa, I've never seen this in my life." So demos are powerful.
Yeah, they are. And with how you created this company, and of course it's in the very early stages, but you're obviously successful with it. But as things go on, kind of being a pioneer in this, as things go on, technology advances, everybody gets on board. What would you like your company, sounds early to talk about this, but what would you like Nova Echo to be remembered for?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We want to be remembered as an ethical company that's not trying to get rid of humans. Inevitably, human jobs are going to be replaced. Just like that's going to happen. But what we want to do is we want to keep human jobs as long as possible, and we want to augment humans and help humans get better. Okay, because our goal is not to replace people, it's to make them better and make companies better. That's number one. Number two is a company that changed the world, because I truly believe that we're going to. And we already are on a small scale, right? Because there's so many people that, like I said before, they call and they get terrible support. We can change that. And there's so many people that want to make money, and we will have the opportunity to give them a program like the Voice AI agency program I'm talking about to make money. And third, there's so many businesses that want to increase revenue, and they don't want to have to deal with setters that also don't want to have to deal with their job. And we'll be able to have these setters have a better job because they'll be closers now, and we'll be able to make the business owners more money. So ethical, world changing, and let me think. Yeah, I think those two are good things to be remembered by.
Something great to be remembered for, because people, they have those thoughts. That is a big controversy with AI, and to see that somebody's in charge of something, in that category has them in mind, which is, great. And how do they find you? If there's a business on here that wants to know more about what you are doing, or somebody needs your service, how do they find out more about you?
So you can always go to our website. It's novaecho.ai. That's novaecho.ai. You can also check out my Instagram, which is just at my name, JoeySeeman. I'm on LinkedIn, and the company's on LinkedIn as well.
And if they go to your Instagram, they can see that great reel where you're taking somebody for a ride in your new car. That's a pretty amazing video. And speaking of that, in that car, I guess you just got it this year, but how old are you now?
16.
16 years old, with the wisdom of at least a 30-year-old, and everything, the stuff that you're speaking, this is coming from a 16-year-old, and go check out what he's doing and go see his Instagram. And go watch that video. Now, he has a lot of self-help videos on his Instagram, great reels. The one about taking somebody for a test drive in his new amazing car that he bought on his own, didn't have to depend on parents or anything for that. He was able to do that. And it's because, he is that self-starter. There's so many self-starters out there and so many that listen to this. And again, you're living in a world as a creative where you got so many incredible opportunities and you're in control. You're able to take advantage of these. You have to put forth that effort. You can't be scared to start. As we always say here, it's one of the things eventually I'll have on a t-shirt, which is your first thing will not be a masterpiece, but without your first thing, there will never be a masterpiece. So get out and get it started. Be sure to come back and tune into our other shows. I want to say thank you very much, Joey, for being on the show today. You're an amazing entrepreneur, so full of knowledge, so well read. Like you just spew information, and you put it into action. And I greatly appreciate what you're doing. And it's been really cool getting to know you through social media and of course, having some of the same friends and knowing that you're the guy, you're real, you're doing a thing to change the world here. We need so many more of you. So I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry. And I quickly want to second that because this is my fourth project, my fourth company that I've started. So this is not the first time. The first three were not masterpieces. So 100%. And thanks for having me. It's great to be
Absolutely. Here. And if you'll stick around, I'm going to close out the show here, but stick around for me after we go off the air. I'd like to talk to you just a little bit more real quick. And want to say thank you to all who tuned in here at rBeatz.com. While you're on the site, be sure to tell your friends about the site. Come on and listen to our digital stations. Be sure to listen to the other podcast where so many different jobs, walks of life, creatives are interviewed by our other hosts, Jennifer Busco, Greasy Keys, and Annalise Pearl. Be sure to watch our trending videos, which are doing so well. And also check out the YouTube channel as well. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Always stay curious and much love. I'm Terry Hudson.
Hello. Anyone there? Are you there? Was this you? Not anymore. With Nova Echo.